Okay, let's unpack this. We're diving deep today into something, well, really critical. It's about how society assigns blame in sexual assault cases,
Mm-hmm.
especially, when drugs or alcohol are part of the picture.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at a key 2008 study by Girard and Senn, and our mission really is to understand these perceptions and what they mean for, well, for you and for justice itself.
It's such an important conversation because sexual assault is sadly just so pervasive. You look at the stats. 15% of U.S. college women, almost a third, 32.8% of Canadian female undergrads report something that meets the legal definition.
Wow, a third. That's huge.
It is. And what's fascinating and worrying is how substances change how people see these events. Alcohol is involved a lot, maybe 90% of cases on Canadian campuses.
Hmm.
But there's also this growing concern about drugs like GHB, Rohypnol, Ketamine, the so-called date rape drugs.
Right, the ones that can cause memory loss.
Exactly, which makes reporting just incredibly challenging for victims.
So, given all that complexity, how did this study, the Girard and Senn one, actually try to figure out how people judge these situations? What was their method?
Well, they were quite clever about it. They surveyed 280 university students. They gave them these unambiguous date rape scenarios, but they varied the conditions.
Okay, like how?
So the victim was either sober, voluntarily drunk, involuntarily drunk, like someone spiked her drink, or same thing with the drug, GHB in this case, voluntarily took it or was involuntarily drugged with it.
Gotcha. 5 different scenarios. And what emerged? What were the key findings?
Well, first, when the victim was involuntarily drugged or drunk, so against her will or without her knowledge, participants put the highest blame on the perpetrator.
Makes sense.
And the lowest blame on the victim. It sort of lined up with what people generally think of as, real rape.
Okay, that seems fairly straightforward. That aligns with expectations, maybe.
That's the baseline, yeah. But here's where it gets really, really interesting and maybe a bit uncomfortable. What happens when the victim chose to drink or take the drug?
Right. The voluntary part.
So when the woman in the scenario voluntarily took GHB recreationally, participants assigned less responsibility and blame to the perpetrator compared to the other situations.
Less, even though it was still assault.
Less, yes. Still high, mind you, over 80%, but noticeably lower than when, say, she was involuntarily drugged.
Okay, that's interesting. And what about the victim in that scenario? The one who took GHB voluntarily?
That's the crucial part. She was held most responsible and blameworthy, significantly more than if she'd been sober or if she'd been drugged without consent.
Whoa. So more blame than even being voluntarily drunk.
Yes. It suggests that recreational drug use by a victim is judged even more harshly. Maybe it's social taboos, the illegality, something beyond just being incapacitated. It feels like a judgment on her choices, not just her state.
That really highlights some tough societal attitudes, doesn't it? It
Yeah.
sounds like those underlying beliefs, what some people call rape myths.
Exactly. Things like she was asking for it, or assumptions about drinking or drug use.
They really kick in and influence how blame gets assigned.
Yeah.
Did the study find a link there?
It did, yeah. They measured rape myth acceptance, and higher acceptance correlated directly with more victim blame pretty much across the board, regardless of the specific scenario.
So these ingrained biases are powerful.
Very powerful. And if you think about the bigger picture, this kind of victim blaming, especially around voluntary substance use, it creates a really discouraging environment for reporting.
Yeah, you can see how someone might hesitate to come forward.
Absolutely. And that's why understanding this is so crucial for you listening. It helps explain why justice can feel so hard to reach sometimes, and underscores why education about consent, real consent, and substance use is just vital.
So this study really does lay bare some, frankly, uncomfortable truths about blame. What's the core message we should take away from this deep dive?
I think the central point is pretty stark. Our societal biases, often unconscious ones, can seriously interfere with the idea of consent. They lead to victims being blamed unfairly, and it seems especially harsh when voluntary recreational drug use is involved.
Right.
Recognizing this bias is maybe the first step. It's what allows us to start challenging it, to push for a justice system that's truly equitable for all victims, no matter the circumstances surrounding the assault.
A powerful thought indeed. How do we move past those biases to ensure real justice?
That's the question, isn't it? How can we as individuals and as a society actively confront these biases to create a system where every survivor feels supported and believed, regardless of what they drank or took or didn't take? It's something important to keep thinking about.